Welcome to this episode. Have you subscribed yet? The mystery of the mountain ghost's marriage in Ghost Opera in Yinshan, Records of the Nuo Mask and the Sunken Coffin. Chapter 18. The Resurrection of Chen Xiazi. The wooden door of the paper-making shop creaked harshly at midnight. Su Wangyan's hand gripping the flashlight tightened suddenly. In the moonlight seeping through the crack of the door, a hunched figure stood in the shadow, leaning on a walking stick. The copper bell at the top of the walking stick trembled silently, but it sent a shiver down the back of his neck. It was the pagoda wood walking stick that Chen Xiazi used all the time. Wang Yan ... quotes, the hoarse call was like water-soaked paper money, sticking to the eardrums in a sticky way. Su Wangyan's pupils shrank suddenly. The beam of the flashlight trembled as it swept across the other person's face. A faint light seeped from the edge of the left eye patch, and the right side of the face was swallowed by the shadow. And the buttons of the shroud on the chest were exactly the style that he had fastened for Chen Xiazi with his own hands. You're not dead? Su Wangyan took a half step back, and his heel hit the counter piled with paper-made items. The colorful paper figures cast distorted shadows in the beam of light. One of the paper figures in a red wedding dress somehow had two black buttons pasted in the eye sockets, looking in the direction of the door. Chen Xiazi raised his hand and tapped the walking stick on the ground with a thud sound. Each sound coincided with Su Wangyan's heartbeat. I'm the last soul summoning paper figure. He took off the left eye patch, and the cold light of the silver bracelet instantly illuminated the whole room. It was Su Xunyang's silver bracelet. At this moment, it was embedded in the empty eye socket, and the blurry image of the stone coffin at the bottom of the river was reflected on the bracelet surface. The corner of the red dress of the woman in the coffin was gently swaying with the water flow. Su Wangyan's breath caught. The reflection in the silver bracelet was clearly his mother, Su Xunyang. There was a hideous scar on her abdomen, as if it had been cut open and then barely stitched up. And her eyes, where the pupils should have been, there were only two surging masses of blood color, staring straight at him through the silver bracelet. In 1937, Lin Wanshan knelt under the mountain god pagoda tree. Chen Xiazi's voice suddenly became young, as if it had traveled through 30 years of time. He exchanged 10 years of his life for his daughter to be exempted from being a human pillar. But he didn't know that the human pillar of the river god sacrifice had already been targeted by the Thousand Hands amputated Lin. Your mother was already pregnant at that time. She voluntarily replaced Yunyang's sacrificial position with your soul. From then on, the two of you shared a wisp of living soul, like two chess pieces placed on the chessboard of the river, God's vein. Su Wangyan's temples throbbed violently. Fragments of his mother's diary flashed through his mind. The blood of the twin fiends can make the Thousand Hand Lord open his eyes. He finally remembered that at Chen Xiazi's funeral, the gaps in the eye sockets of the paper figures, the pagoda wood tablet in the coffin, and the chiseled off words, "Destroy its eyes," on the river, God Steely, were all the prices for the soul, summoning paper figure to maintain its form. Look at this. Chen Xiazi took out a yellowed ledger from his bosom. The cover was printed with Record of Yinshan Sacrifice, 1937. When he turned to the page with a red string clipped, Su Wangyan's gaze was nailed to the paper by the eye-catching red pen remarks. The twin fiends appear, and the river god's vein is in chaos. The originally scheduled human pillar, Lin Yunyang, is replaced by Su Xunyang to die. The birth date of the fetus in her womb is completely consistent with the river god steel. Half of an old photo was pasted on the edge of the ledger. The young Su Xunyang was holding a baby in swaddling clothes. The Nuo Opera mask pattern embroidered on the swaddling clothes was oozing blood, and on the left ring finger of the baby, there was clearly an unformed pagoda wood birthmark. Su Wangyan suddenly remembered that the coffin-shaped birthmark on the back of Lin Yunyang's neck only appeared after his mother was laid in the coffin. Yunyang should have been the 19th human pillar. Chen Xiazi's finger huagua the three characters Su Xunyang in the ledger. The reflection of the silver bracelet on the ledger suddenly distorted, turning into the vague outline of the thousand-hand corpse god. Your mother cut open her abdomen with a knife and injected your soul into Yunyang's body. From then on, the fates of the two of you were like two stone coffins at the bottom of the river. 看似分开，实则共享同一道棺盖。Outside the window, a dull sound of stone coffins colliding came from the Yinshui River. Through the broken window of the paper-making shop, Su Wanyan saw 19 stone coffins emerging from the water at a strange angle. The Nuo opera masks on the inner side of the coffin lids glowed red in the moonlight. In the eye socket of each mask, the figure of Chen Xiazi was reflected. Why are you telling me this now? Su Wanyan's voice was trembling. His gaze fell on Chen Xiazi's gradually transparent wrist, where the skin was peeling off like paper, revealing the intertwined pagoda wood texture underneath. Who are you exactly? I'm the tomb keeper of Luo Men. Chen Xiazi forced a bitter smile. His sleeve slipped down, revealing a tattoo on the inner side of his wrist, the pattern of a severed thousand hand. Luo Men has guarded the thousand hands amputated limb for generations. In 1937, when Lin Wanshan tampered with the sacrifice ceremony, I should have stopped it. But ... He looked at the silver bracelet, and his voice suddenly choked. I fell in love with your mother. I watched her put on the red wedding dress for Yunyang, watched her sink to the bottom of the river with your soul, but I could do nothing. Su Wanyan thought of the drummer wearing an eye patch in the mural of the mountain god temple, and the remains of the river lantern that Chen Xiazi coughed up. It turned out that those were all the secret signals of Luo Men. He suddenly noticed that there was no red sand from the bottom of the river on Chen Xiazi's souls, proof that the soul summoning paper figure couldn't touch the real river water. The lifespan of the soul summoning paper figure has come to an end. Chen Xiazi's body began to become semi-transparent, and the light of the silver bracelet was also weakening. Remember, the blood of the twin fiends can both activate the amputated limb and purify the evil. Go to Qian region to find the people of Luo Men. They will tell you. His voice was suddenly interrupted by the bell sound coming from the bottom of the river. The 19 stone coffins simultaneously made a click sound, and the coffin lids cracked open a slit. The right hand of the thousand hands is hidden in the corpse driving technique in Qian region ... Before he could finish speaking, Chung Shixi's body turned into a sky, full of paper ashes. The silver bracelet clattered to the ground, and the engraving on the inner circle of the bracelet finally became clearly visible. On the day when the twin fiends return to their positions, it is the time when the broken knife is formed. Su Wanyan picked up the silver bracelet and suddenly heard a sound of paper tearing behind him. Turning around, he saw that the three characters Su Xunyang on the ledger were oozing blood. The blood beads gathered into a coffin shape on the tabletop, and in the center of the coffin shape were his and Lin Yunyang's overlapping birth dates. The oil lamp in the paper-making shop suddenly lit up at this time. In the dim yellow light, Su Wanyan saw an unfinished paper figure on the workbench. The face was exactly the same as his, with half of his mother's mask pinned to the chest. And on the back of the paper figure was written in cinnabar, the 20th human pillar, Su Wanyan, the last lock of the river god's vein. Outside the window, the coffin group in the Yinshui River began to sink. Only the 20th stone coffin remained on the water surface. The coffin lid slowly opened, revealing two neatly placed items inside. One was Lin Yunyang's white coat, and the other was a pagoda wood tablet engraved with the words, Luo Men. Su Wanyan suddenly remembered that on Chen Xiazi's tombstone, the signature year was 30 years earlier than his death. The real Chen Xiazi had died to protect the twin fiends as early as 1937. In the past 30 years, it was just a paper figure maintained by the soul summoning technique. He clenched the silver bracelet. The reflection on the bracelet surface once again showed the figure of his mother. This time, the corners of her mouth were slightly raised, as if saying, "Go to Qian region, Wanyan. Yunyang's scales need the broken finger of the corpse. Drive her to awaken." Su Wanyan's left ring finger suddenly stung, and the birthmark was slowly spreading, crawling from the fingertip to the wrist. Each texture was exactly the same as the annual rings of the mountain god pagoda tree. The wooden door of the paper-making shop swayed in the wind, bringing the bell sound from the distant mountain god temple. Su Wanyan knew that the resurrection of Xiazi was just the final warning. The real adventure had just begun. He put the silver bracelet on his wrist, stuffed the ledger and the pagoda wood tablet into his backpack, and turned to walk towards the Yinshui River in the night. The dim light of the river lanterns flickered on the water surface, much like the starlight on the night his mother was laid in the coffin. That night, all the villagers in Yinshan village had the same dream. A paper figure in a red wedding dress was dancing under the mountain god pagoda tree, and the figure of Chen Xiazi was floating towards the direction of Qian region along with the paper ashes. Among the mountains there, the copper bells of the corpse-driving people had been ringing for 300 years, waiting for the arrival of the twin fiends. The end of this episode, the story continues. Subscribe now.